Hello, for the Q&A, I'm going to enable it for the Zoom, so if there's any Q&A from the Zoom, I'll let
You will call out. Perfect, thanks. Yeah, there was this, did you get a numbers counted there? Was this? Ah, well, still has that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was just about 200, I think.
I am the envy of everyone. No, Laura, that's this is a lovely story. Laura, am I going to start whenever people are? Now, I think we'll kick off. So first of all, welcome everyone and thank you very much for joining us this evening. My name is Philip Donlan. I am a lecturer in the School of Chemical and Bioprocess Engineering here in UCD. So before we kind of kick off, so my role is I'm going to introduce everyone and maybe just welcome you here, introduce what is going to take place tonight. But before we do that, I really just want to again express our gratitude that you're taking the time to come. I know it's January and there's lots going on, and we're really delighted to see such a good turnout here today. So thank you very much for coming, and hopefully you get some benefit from it. So the way the evening is going to flow is, I'll only talk for a moment or two here, and then I'm going to hand over to our panel of speakers. We've got a really good panel today, and we're trying to basically give you as much of a breadth of a perspective as we can. Again, you all came here to find out a little bit more about engineering in UCD, and that's what we want you to leave with. We want that you go home today understanding that little bit more about what it is, what you could do with it, what you're going to learn as you go through. And so again, as we go through, we'll get as much as we possibly can from the panel here, and then we'll still be around afterwards to answer some questions. So the first person who's going to talk to you today is going to be Professor Aoife Ahern. Aoife is the college principal and the Dean of Engineering, and she's going to give you an overarching view of engineering in UCD, the different subjects you can study, etc. Then we're going to hand over to Nicola Fortune from the UCD Careers Network. So this is obviously an invaluable part of the process as you go through, because you're going through a degree, you're learning a lot of stuff, but you're also building towards your future career. And the Careers Network and Aoife are going to be critical in that journey. So really good to hear from Nicola today on that. We're then going to hand over to Harry Sutton from Mechanical Engineering. And again, that idea there is that we're going to try and give you the perspective of what it's like to actually study engineering as a student. So Harry is a fourth-year student with us at the moment. So he's going to give you that perspective of what it's like to actually be a student going through these degrees. And then our last speaker is going to be Molly Monroe from Structural Engineering with Architecture. So she's going to give you the graduate experience. So what's it like to come out the other side after you've been working for a little bit maybe reflect on the degree that got you to where you are today. So that's what we're going to do in terms of speakers. We're going to hold questions as we go through till afterwards. And then once Molly is finished, we're all going to come back up here and we're going to have a Q&A where we're going to open up to the audience and you get to ask as many open questions to us as you like. We'll do our very best to answer them and hopefully give you all the information you want. So just before we go, a little bit of housekeeping, just to take a quick look around, depending on where you're sitting. Just the fire exits are at the bottom here, and at the very top, you'll see the little green signs are going to point you towards there as well. So just in the case of anything happen, we'll just obviously try and be as calm as we can going through there. All right, that's basically all for me. So I'm going to hand over to our first speaker, Professor Aoife Ahern, and again, we'll see you all in the questions and session afterwards.
Okay, I hope everybody can hear you. As Philip said, my name is Aoife Ahern. I'm the college principal here in the College of Engineering and Architecture, and I'm the Dean of Engineering. And myself, I'm a civil engineer by background. So I'm going to give an overview of what engineering is like here in UCD. On some of the slides, you might see some kind of talk about careers, etc. But I won't touch on that in too much detail because I know Nicola is going to talk about that afterwards. So we think we have a short video first, I think, Laura. Does that if I press? Nope. I thought we had a short video, but I'll keep going. So in terms of what do you need to come and do engineering in UCD, first of all? Well, engineering has become quite popular over the last number of years, and we have seen a steady increase in the number of points required. So the points level is quite high to do engineering in UCD, and UCD is the most in-demand course in engineering in the country. So our points are a little bit higher than other programs in engineering around Ireland. Over the last year, over the last couple of years, they were 567 in 2023, 568 in 2024, which obviously is quite a high standard to get. And most of our students coming in will have quite a bit higher than this as well. But this is not impossible if you work hard, if you're in fifth year and you put your head down and you focus on what you need to do over the next couple of years. In addition to that points requirement, and this is really important, is we actually have some subject-specific requirements for engineering as well. So if you get the points, but you don't have the right subjects, unfortunately, you can't come into UCD engineering. So it's really important to understand that you need mathematics. It needs to be higher level mathematics, and you need a minimum of a H4. And the reasons for that is because a lot of what you're going to do in engineering afterwards will be maths based. So it is good, and it is really important to have that strong background in mathematics and a strong ability to do mathematics before coming into an engineering program. In addition to that, you need a laboratory science and you need a minimum of a H6 in a laboratory science. So in terms of the laboratory sciences that we accept, it's physics, it's chemistry, it's biology, it's agricultural science as well. I can hear an echo of myself, and 2 other subjects. So again, a question that we would often get is, do I need physics? Do I need physics and chemistry, etc.? No, any one of these laboratory sciences is fine. What will happen, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a second, is whichever ones you don't have will get everybody up to the same level by the end of the first year. When you come here, if you make the decision that you want to do engineering in UCD and you do the leaving cert and you get the points and you get the right subjects, etc., and September next year or September of the following year, whether you're 5th or 6th year, you're coming here to do UCD in engineering, what's the kind of experience that you might have here? What would you have here as a student that's different to what maybe you're experiencing in secondary school at the moment? So there's a number of different ways that we will get the information across to you. Very fundamental to any kind of degree course is the lectures. And lectures are the main way that a lecturer will have, or that your teacher will have, of getting the content across to you. And that will be in large rooms like this, pretty much when you're in first year, because we've got about 330 students in our stage 1, between 320 and 330 students. So you will have lectures in every single subject, which we call modules, and that's to get the main information across to you. In those lectures, you're getting the fundamentals. There's a huge emphasis on the sciences and the mathematics in that first year, physics, chemistry, and bringing everybody up to the same standard. There will be some engineering subjects as well. And you're looking at what does engineering mean in a national and a global context, and looking at the different kind of problems you might have in engineering. Now, alongside those lectures, you will also have laboratories. So you'll have the opportunity from day 1 to go into laboratories and start working on experiments. And the purpose of that is not just only the experiment itself, but it's learning how to do experiments, how to use equipment, how to take measurements, how to record those measurements, how to do calculations, and very importantly, also how to present those results, both in a written and a verbal format. How can you present the outcomes of those experiments? You might be working on those individually or sometimes in pairs or groups as well. So learning how to work in a team in laboratories. And that will start from that will commence from the very start of your program here in engineering. And then the other ways that we have teaching you are, and these will go on throughout the 3, 4, or 5 years that you're with us, tutorials. So tutorials are usually smaller groups where you're working on problems in a class, sometimes with a lecturer, sometimes with a postgraduate student or a teaching assistant, in groups or individually. And then finally, design exercises and project work. And these are very hands-on, where you might have to actually design something. So for example, if you're in civil engineering, designing a piece of infrastructure, usually in a group, sometimes individually, but usually these design exercises, these project exercises will be in a group, apart from that final year thesis that you will do, which is when you will be working on a large scale project on your own. So over the 5 years, you'll be exposed to all of these different kinds of teaching. What I would say is that for most of you, you'll start off in very large groups like this, the 300 plus that I said. But as you start to go down through the discipline and you start getting into what you're actually choosing to do, your classes will get smaller and you'll find that you're usually having much smaller groups that you're learning with as well. The idea of having a wide range of ways of engaging with you is that no matter what your skill set is, whether you like to listen or whether you like to write or whether you like to do, everybody can learn in their own way. Okay, so we try to approach the teaching in as diverse a way as possible. And when I say about the lectures that it's about imparting information, you'll also find that a lot of our lecturers have very novel approaches. So we'll have things like flipped classrooms, we'll have problem-based learning in the teaching. So it's not what maybe people would have seen as lectures 20 years ago, where it's all about a lecturer standing like I am today and talking to you. We have a lot of different approaches to teaching as well across the programs. In terms of what the engineering program will look like, so in stage 1, what UCD has, and this might be different to what you're seeing in some of the other universities that you're looking at, is you come into engineering. You do not choose what option you want. You don't choose the discipline you want. Everybody is coming into engineering in stage 1, into that very large class of engineering students. And the subjects that you're doing will be the chemistry, maths, physics. And the purpose of doing those is to get everybody by the end of year 1 up to the same level. So students will be coming in with a very different combination of sciences, for example, with some having done physics or chemistry or biology, or as I said, maybe some of the other ones that we listed there. And we need to make sure that at the end of stage 1, you have the core fundamentals in maths, physics, and chemistry that allow you to do whatever discipline that you want to do. I want to be honest with you that sometimes that can be a bit of a struggle for students in first year, and first year is tough in engineering. I don't want to put you off. It's a very rewarding and a great career and a fantastic degree, but stage 1 in engineering, there's a lot of hours, there's a lot of coursework that you need to get through, and you probably have more content hours than maybe some of your colleagues or your other friends would have in a BCom or in a BA degree. But there is a reason for that, and that is because we need to make sure that you're well equipped to go into what you want to do afterwards. You also start to get introduced to different types of engineering as well. So you will have lessons in energy engineering, electrical engineering, and all of that, civil engineering, etc. All of that is to help you make your choice. So around about the end of the first semester, we call our terms here semesters, one that will run till Christmas, and then the second one will start next week, and they're 12 weeks long. Our first year students will start to get talks from the different disciplines around engineering, the engineering program, about what those disciplines are. Something like this, but more focused on those particular disciplines. And the students will then make a choice about what they want to go into in stage 2. So they can choose biomedical, chemical and bioprocess, chemical with a biochemical minor, civil, electrical, electronic, mechanical, structural engineering with architecture, or sustainable systems engineering. Now, when they choose these subjects in second year, I think it's very important to say to you, we don't have a quota system. So we don't, what you want at the end of first year, you are guaranteed to get that choice in second year. We don't put any kind of a quota on that. And, that can make things difficult for us. We could have a class of everybody wanting to do mechanical engineering, for example. But if that's the case, we'll cope with that and we'll get on with it. So you are guaranteed that as long as you're getting through first year and you've passed first year, you will get the choice of what you want in second year. And you continue on in second and third year, working in the discipline that you've chosen to work on. There's a few different things that you might do in third year if you're here with us. We have a study abroad option. So quite a lot of our students will opt to spend 1 semester or 2 semesters in a university abroad. And this is where we have partnerships with universities in the US, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia. And as long as you obtain a certain level of grades in your first year exams, you will be allowed to go on that year abroad. There's no cost in terms of fees. So you can be going to a university in America for a semester or for a whole year, and you will not be charged what the American students are being charged for that year. And you get the opportunity to have an international experience, see how different university works, and learn a little bit differently as well. Not everybody can do that, obviously. So if you're staying here, you still get to have an international experience, because we also welcome back into our program a lot of students from those universities around the world who come here to spend a semester or a year with us. So we are very keen to make sure, whether you travel or you don't, that you get that international experience in UCD, whichever happens. And that's around about that stage 3. There's another very important decision point for students at the end of the stage 3 or the year 3 in engineering. And that's when you decide, am I going to stay here and do a BE, which would take me 4 years, and that's a bachelor's of engineering, or what most of our students would do, and it is the vast majority of students would do this, is that you stay on for an extra 2 years and you qualify with a master's in engineering instead. Now, the reason you have to make that decision at the end of third year is because your 4th year will look very different depending on what you do. If you decide to go into the BE, you specialize in the particular area that you're in. You're going to go deeper into that area. You'll continue to have lectures, laboratories, tutorials, all those things that I already spoke about. And at the end of that 4th year, you'll finish with your BE and you'll go out working. If you decide that at the end of third year, I'm staying on for another 2 years, I want to do the ME, your 4th year has 1 semester of lectures and labs and tutorials. And then your 2nd semester, so in January, you will go out on an internship of about 9 months for most of the students. That internship is a placement, a paid placement in a company or in an industry related to your discipline. We have internship managers within the college, so they will help you to get that placement. They'll organise the interviews for you, which take place in October, about 3 months before you start the placement. And they will, after that, we will follow up with you as you're on that placement to see how it's going, to ask you to write a report on it afterwards, etc. There's lots of different ways that we'll be touching base with you afterwards. And it's an amazing experience for most students. And I think you're going to hear a little bit about that from one of our student speakers in a while. A lot of students at the end of that internship get offered a job. Okay. And some of our students come back into 5th year with a contract signed to go out to work when they're finished to the company that they spent their internship in. It's often seen as an opportunity for the company to get to know you, an extended interview, so that they know what you're like, whether they want you. But I'm going to be honest with you, at the moment, there are too few engineers graduating in Ireland across all the disciplines. So you actually are using it as an opportunity to interview them as well and see if they're a company that you want to go back to. And some of our students who are offered those contracts actually turn them down, not because they've had a bad experience, because they actually just want to go out and try something different or go somewhere else. And the kind of companies that are taking students on, as Nicola will tell you, it's the huge global international companies, and also quite a lot of Irish companies that will take engineering students on as well. So that's the major difference between the 4th and the 5th year, that you have that internship. If you do the 5-year program as well, as you go into the ME, you'll see there that the range of disciplines is also wider as well. Obviously, if you're staying on for 5 years, you're going to get more specialist in the particular areas. So you start to choose different options. So as I said, you might go into biosystems and food at that place, biomedical, and civil will split into the structural and environmental as well. So you'll start to see that you're going deeper into programs if you stay on for that 5-year program. The other difference, and this is an important one, maybe for you, but very important probably for your parents or your guardians, some of whom are here this evening, is that there is a fee associated with the 5th year. Okay. And the fee is there because the government only cover free education for undergraduate. They don't cover it for postgraduate. So that fee, it's only in the 5th year. It's not in the 4th year. It's in the 5th year. It is quite substantial. I think it's about, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but it is a question we get asked every year. It's in the range of about 9,000 euros. Okay, so it is a substantial fee. It's better to know that now, a year before you start, rather than to be told the August or September just before you go in. We do have scholarships. We do have hardship fund. We do have ways of helping people who may struggle with that. And you'll hear more about that closer to the time if you're doing that. But as I said as well, the professional work experience, and if you're coming in late, come down, there's loads of seats around, so don't be shy about coming down and getting a seat. If you will also have a paid internship in the 4th year, so there is an opportunity to save money towards that fee as well. But I always feel I need to say it to parents because it's not fair to have that sprung on you a couple of months before your son or daughter goes into September of the final year. So very briefly, I'm just going to cover off some of the disciplines that we cover. So UCD engineering, you know, there's a lot of engineering programs around the country, all of which are excellent, very good. But why would I encourage you to come to UCD? There's a couple of reasons. I think we have an excellent program. We have highly cited and highly regarded academics here, engaged in research. So your teaching will always have that kind of research focus as well. But also very importantly, because we have that stage 1 where you're coming in and you're getting to experience every type of engineering, you're not closing off your options from stage 1. And in particular, we have the widest range of engineering programs available once you get into stage 2. So we have a wider range of choices than most of the other universities offering engineering in Ireland, at least. So we've got electrical and electronic engineering. I'm not going to go into the detail on all of these slides in terms of the definition, but generally speaking, what electrical engineering is looking at the study and design of systems and equipment that use electricity. We've got electrical engineering looking at large scale production and distribution of electricity, obviously very important nowadays, given that so much of our energy is moving towards electricity, that we're looking at terms of how we can generate this in a more renewable way, in a more sustainable way. And equally, we then have electronic engineering, which is smaller in scale. So precision design of circuits, components, resistors, capacitors, inductors, diodes, and transistors. And we have a lot of links in with different companies in these areas. As Nicola will tell you, there's a huge amount of opportunities here, even in a tech sector that people are sometimes a bit nervous about. It is a sector that is still booming. And we have very close relationships with a lot of these companies. So Intel, for example, will be a key partner for us in UCD engineering and a place that we would look at placing students quite often. So biomedical engineering, I always say this is one of the newer disciplines. It's not brand new, but it's newer than some of the other disciplines we talk about. And biomedical engineering is using the traditional approaches in engineering, but using them alongside medicine and biology to solve problems for human health. And that can be done through mechanical engineering, or it can be done through electronic engineering, depending on what kind of problems you're looking at and what kind of ways that you're solving them. What's really important about this kind of engineering is that you're still using the fundamentals of engineering, which are maths, physics, and chemistry, to solve problems in the body. Okay, and that could be around designing instruments, medical instruments and devices, looking at research for materials. So within materials engineering, what kind of materials should be used if we're implanting something into the body, so that we can get so that it's not going to be dangerous, that it's going to last a long time, for example. Looking at prosthetics, looking at wearables, for example, that might be able to help detect problems that are going on in health in a body. And I think it's important to mention, everybody talks about the tech sector in Ireland as being a huge employer, the Metas and the Googles and etc. But actually medical devices and the pharmaceutical industry are two of the biggest employers in this country. Okay, and they're two of the, you know, there are huge industries in this country that are based around this industry. For example, Medtronic is one of the biggest companies in the world, and they have their European headquarters here in Ireland. And again, we have a massive shortage of engineers in biomedical engineering, and it's difficult for us to keep up with the demand in this area. Mechanical engineering is year on year tends to be our most popular discipline. So more of our second years will choose to go into mechanical engineering than other disciplines. Partly, I think that's because it's seen as one of the broadest engineering disciplines, so opens up a lot of different areas for students. And it's about looking at machines and at objects and systems in motion. And you probably know where the kind of places that mechanical engineers might go into. Every year, there's people who are extremely interested in going into automotive engineering, but also aeronautical, biomedical, space engineering. Some of you might know that Ireland launched our first satellite earlier on, well, this time last year, actually. And that was designed by students in physics and mechanical engineering. So graduates from the mechanical engineering program have opportunities to work in that sector as well. And in mechanical engineering, we have, so if you go into mechanical engineering, as you go through in the program, it's one of the programs that has the widest range of sub-disciplines within it as well. So you could be working in mechanical, materials, manufacturing, energy systems, biomedical engineering, and engineering with business. Engineering with business is also available through a few of the other streams, and I'm just going to very briefly mention it while we're here. This is for students who want to do engineering and want to have that technical core of engineering, but decide that they'd actually like to work in finance or business or in that sector as well. And so at a particular point in stage 3 or 4, they will start to take on modules in accounting and finance and business, etc., that give them that opportunity to work in those areas. And just as an aside, you know, engineering graduates are much in demand by companies like Deloitte and KPMG, and often will actually get paid slightly higher salaries when graduating than students coming from the BCom programs. So just as an aside, not that we're in competition with the BCom, but we might as well mention it. We also have chemical and bioprocess engineering, which Philip is from. So biochemical engineering is the production and manufacturing of products through chemical processes. Again, something that people may not know of is that we have a huge number of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world are based here in Ireland in terms of their European headquarters. And this is a massive employer in the Irish economy. So again, a massive demand for people coming out of here. Chemical engineers will work in food, drinks, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, etc. But talking about Ireland, where most of our students would go, I think, Philip, is probably the food, the pharmaceuticals and the drink sector. And they are some of the biggest employers in the country in terms of the numbers of people employed in them, but also in terms of the kind of salaries that are commanded in those sectors as well, that they're much higher than average salaries. Okay. Civil engineering. So I think this is the one that probably more people, when you're younger, this is the one that you think of what an engineer is. So civil engineers are involved in design, construction, the maintenance of physical and naturally built environment. So really in terms of building infrastructure and building infrastructure on a big scale. Again, in terms of employment, there's a lot of jobs in this country, because if you can look at what we have in terms of our physical infrastructure, it's not at a very good level at the moment. So there's an enormous demand for civil engineers because we have a huge shortage in civil engineers. And again, they'll work in areas like development, but also in terms of maintenance of infrastructure, environmental protection, things like flood protection. And obviously in the time of climate change, etc., these things are becoming much more important for us to consider. And a lot of civil engineering students, a little bit like mechanical, it's a more general degree than maybe some of the other disciplines. A lot of civil engineering students will also go into business and finance and will do the engineering with business kind of program out of civil engineering. And finally, structural engineering. So structural engineering with architecture is a subset really of civil engineering. But if you choose to do this rather than civil engineering students will do environmental engineering, they'll do geotechnical engineering, they'll do transportation engineering, whereas our structural engineers with architecture will very much focus on structural. So it'll be about buildings and bridges. What makes this quite a nice flavour to this degree is we have a very large and very well-established architectural school in the College of Engineering and Architecture. And so we have the opportunity for our students who are doing structural and engineering with architecture, they will have lectures from our architectural professors, but they will also work on projects with the architectural students. So in stage 2 and 3, they start to have modules with those students and they start to work on projects together, so that from a very early stage, we're showing structural engineers and architects how the two disciplines differ and how they think differently, but how they need to work together and bring that kind of different way of thinking together to be able to realize the projects that they're working on out in the real world. And obviously where you'd expect to see structural engineers working would be in construction and project management, but also in engineering consultancy and design, and also in management consultancy as well. So where do our students go afterwards? Look, there are so many companies in Ireland that are employing engineers, from the purely technical engineering companies that you would expect to be employing engineers, all the way to the financial, the consultancy companies, the business companies. And they mightn't be getting you because to work on technical projects. The reason they're keen on getting our engineering students is because you're mathematical, you're numerous, you're a problem solver, and you think in a different way to other people. So you are massively in demand outside of the engineering sector as well as within the engineering sector. And the opportunities in terms of careers are enormous, as Nicola will tell you, not just in Ireland, also all over the world. Because our degrees here in UCD engineering are accredited. They're accredited by the professional body, which is Engineers Ireland. That's really important. So whatever degrees you're looking at whether it's here or in any other university, you should always make sure that they are accredited, because an accredited degree allows you to work as an engineer in any country. Okay, so the Engineers Ireland accreditation is recognised throughout Europe, throughout the US and Australia and Asia, and you need to have that if you want to go and work in those countries as an engineer. In addition to Engineers Ireland accreditation, our chemical engineering degree is also accredited by IChemE, and our materials engineering degree is accredited by IOM3, which are the UK accreditation bodies as well. And they have a different set of metrics that we need to look at as well. But that accreditation is extremely important. Other reasons of choosing UCD engineering: if you come to UCD and do engineering, you also have access to a broad range of modules outside of engineering. You know, we are the largest university. We have a huge range of modules available across a broad range of disciplines outside of science. So if you want to do stuff in entrepreneurship, or you want to do languages, or you want to do music or whatever, there are opportunities, and those are built into the program to allow you to pick a different number of those kind of modules throughout the 5 years here, to give yourself a break if you want to from doing just engineering. If you don't want to take a break from doing engineering, you're always welcome to go and choose more and more engineering modules and go deeper and deeper. But they allow you to expand your horizons and maybe become a more developed person in terms of thinking of other areas. We are extremely well linked in and have very, very strong relationships with employers, both national and Irish employers and international employers as well. And the graduates coming out of UCD engineering are highly sought after and highly well respected. So there will always be that opportunities there for you, excellent employment prospects, the opportunity to travel, to the partnerships that I mentioned. We also have campuses in other countries. So we have 2 campuses in China that students can visit if they want to, in Beijing and in Xi'an, where there are opportunities to engage with or go on programs there if you want for a semester. And also, if you're coming to UCD, we're a huge university with a fabulous campus outside, amazing facilities in terms of swimming pool and sports facilities and societies of whether they're into debating or music or, you know, anything that you want to get into, frisbee, whatever it is that you want to get into, there will be a society for that. And the opportunities to get involved in that kind of social side of the university is something we really, really encourage. It's very important to get involved in that as well as the academic side. And we also have very strong student supports. So if things go wrong, or if you have problems, or whatever might occur during your 4 or 5 years here with us, we have student support advisors, we have counselling, we have medical support. So it's very important for us to look after you as a person, as well as to look after you as a student coming through the university. And finally, I think we have a very strong alumni network. So if you come to us, we don't just finish speaking to you when you leave us and after 5 years. We're very keen to keep that relationship going, and we link our current students in with our alumni all the time. Okay, so I think I spoke for far too long. I will pass on to Nicola.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Nicola Fortune. I'm one of the career and skills consultants here just for the College of Engineering and Architecture in particular. So that means I work with our students the whole way from first year, the whole way up through the process. I'm going to give a relatively fast run through today, but I am going to be available for individual chats afterwards, kind of if you want to find me later on, and obviously the question and answer. What I'm going to talk about is really just a brief overview, if I can get my slides to move, which I can't. So one sec. Oh, yeah. So generally speaking, just to kick off, I suppose you're all at a very early stage in your career. So maybe thinking about different options you might have. Engineering might be one of a number of things you're considering. So when you're thinking about kind of, I suppose, what is an engineer? I want to think engineers are very, I suppose, very practical people. They're people who want to kind of make things happen. So when you're thinking about engineering, obviously you're thinking maybe about science, about maths, but it really is about using that and to apply it to the real world. So it's very much, I suppose, problem solving, but also innovation. So again, that's kind of a type of person in a way. So that's one way to look at engineering. So there's lots of different types of engineers, and obviously this is just a very brief snapshot, but you'll find engineers kind of working in all variety of different sectors, both kind of within engineering and outside of engineering specific areas. So when we're talking about where you see our students after they graduate, so obviously the job market is something that's very important to us. We want our graduates to go on and have fantastic careers over the rest of their life. The job market for engineers obviously can change, but it's very positive. So this is just a snapshot from Engineers Ireland Barometer of the Profession. So what I would say to you is if you are interested in working as an engineer in Ireland, maybe have a look at some of those professional bodies that Aoife mentioned earlier on. So Engineers Ireland is one of those bodies. They publish a fantastic survey every year. Basically, they survey all their members and they ask them lots of questions like, how much money do you earn? Do you think there's lots of opportunities? Are you working hybrid? All of these kind of questions, and then they publish it. So this is openly available if you want to have a look. But as you can see here, just a couple of quick quotes there. Generally speaking, it's a positive situation. People feel there's quite a lot of opportunities. They find the career itself rewarding, and also a lot of engineering managers see it likely to continue in that direction. Their future plans are to grow further. So in terms of our own graduates specifically, so that's the national level, UCD graduates are also very much in demand. So this is looking back at our most recent graduates that we survey. So every year after our graduates leave us, about 9 months later, we phone them up, we email them, we contact them until they answer a survey for us. And we ask them questions like what they're doing now, where they're working, that kind of thing. So this is the most recent one. As you can see, we had 66% went directly into employment after their course, whereas 27% continued on to further education. So whether that's a master's or a PhD or other qualifications like that. We had just 5% seeking employment and 2% doing other activities. So that might be traveling or caring responsibilities or a variety of different things. So again, this is a very positive picture of employment. We'll also see that our UCD graduates can sometimes actually have a little bit of an additional benefit when we look at the national level of salary scales for engineers. So a little bit higher, which is great. So looking at some of those employers, so obviously Aoife already mentioned a number of them. So you'll find our graduates working in a huge variety of different places. So these are just some of the graduates or some of the top locations for our graduates, but really it's quite endless and very much an international picture as well. So when we're talking about, I suppose, who I am, which is a representative from the Careers Network, part of the reason I'm here today is to talk about how we can work together with you. So basically, how can the Careers Network and how can UCD support you in your journey as an engineer? So it's very much built into the program from the very start. So one thing we want to do is make sure that, you can't see this very well, but to make sure that our students know what's important. So that what our employer is looking for. So to be that connection between employers and to academia. So it's not just about the academics, although academics are incredibly important. It's not just about where you go. It's also things like, are you doing internships? Are you getting involved in clubs and societies? Are you developing those transferable skills in a variety of other ways? So some of the ways that the university can support you in that is to give you opportunities to basically take those opportunities to develop yourself. So for instance, I know Aoife mentioned earlier on, we have a very broad range of clubs and societies. So there really is absolutely something for everybody. Also those study abroad partnerships and the academic internships as part of the ME programme. So I can see my colleague Fionnuala is here in the audience. So Fionnuala is one of 2 internship managers who I would work very closely with. And Eileen Fionnuala would obviously work very closely with our key employers and obviously our students themselves. So it's a fantastic opportunity to get some experience as part of the programme. Although we also would very much encourage our students to go out and do internships during the summers before that stage. So again, there's lots of different opportunities. In terms of the Careers Network specifically, so how we would work with students would obviously range very much from the very first week of term the whole way up. You'll see us. So in the very first week of your first year, you'll see me on Wednesday evening. You'll have a 2-hour class with me. And I'll basically be getting in there from the very start, talking about, I suppose, what is important in terms of engineering as a career, things like building your career, what kind of skills do you need to develop, like teamwork, leadership, communication. So not just the technical skills, but what will actually make you really succeed and take the next step on. So again, we're integrated into the program from the very start, and then every year you'll have between 1 and 3 different kind of classes or interactions with the Careers Network, which is a fantastic opportunity throughout your undergrad. We also offer a lot of different, I suppose, opportunities to link you with employers. So we have employer events taking place throughout the year. So that would include 4 very large recruitment fairs that take place on campus here, including one coming up in a couple of weeks, which is the internship fair. In terms of working with employers, we also have a vacancy portal, especially for our students. So our students can log in there and they can set their searches. We have a huge range of online resources for students to support them in their career development. So that would include things like Interview 360 and CV 360, which are tools to use AI to actually do things like give feedback on your CV. So there's things like that, but also very much the human element remains. So it's great to get feedback from, AI and these tools, but still those one-to-one meetings are very important. So every day students can book a one-to-one meeting with myself or one of my colleagues to actually have that conversation about, whether it's CVs and interviews, career planning, next steps, just the broader picture. And again, obviously there's careers workshops taking places both inside the curriculum as well as outside. So that was a really quick kind of run through just to give you an overview of things. I would say as well, obviously, do look up that Engineers Ireland barometer later on if you're curious, because I know a number of students asking me questions that might be answered there. Also, we have our own career guide. So if you want to have a look, it's online there. The career guide, it'll give you a bit of a snapshot of some of the supports and some of, I suppose, some testimonials and things like that from students, employers. I'm going to finish up there because obviously I don't want to take too long, but I will be available to question and answer and also individually afterwards. So thank you very much.
There's a resentment in there. And if you go into, what is it? Let me see. It's one of them, isn't it? Presenting teams, maybe? No, maybe not. Maybe. Actually, you could just go from this kind of slide. Yeah, go on. Thanks for that. Hi, can everybody hear me? Everyone hear me all right? My name is Harry Sutton. I am a current engineer. So thank you very much for the ladies for giving us a great introduction. I'm going to give you an idea of what an actual engineer does in college and what my experience has been. But before I start, just to keep everybody engaged and awake, I was wondering if anyone could put up their hands and tell me their name. Oh, that was quick. Tell me your name and what type of engineering you might like to do. It's the right answer. Thank you, Ronald. So yeah, mechanical engineering. You knew what you were doing there. There we go. Okay, so just a bit about myself before I start. I come from, I went to school in West Cork, Banna Grammar. So that was one of the reasons I came to UCD was I wanted just a fresh start. A lot of my friends went to UCC. And so the reason I picked UCD was because of how big that engineering course is. In first year alone, it was as we were saying there, about 330 people. So it was a good chance to meet new people. And everyone's really nice. So yeah, one thing about me, I love cars. Anyone who can guess what car that is gets a pack of Haribo. Anyone know? Fast one, sure, right. That's a Toyota Celica GT4. That would be my favorite car. So I had no idea what I wanted to do in college. When I was at your stage, I had no idea. I was originally thinking hotel management at one point, and yeah, so going to engineering was a bit of a jump. But I knew I wanted to go to Dublin, as I said, just to get that bigger stage. And I was half decent at maths, so eventually I was convinced by my parents and my friends that I should be doing engineering. And I kind of went through like the course book at the time, and I was like looking through all the courses, like no. And so engineering, I was like, okay, all right, we'll give it a go. And I haven't looked back. It's been amazing. I've loved it so far since. So why engineering? Well, I've put up a diagram here, just of society and what engineers do. So basically engineers can do anything. We get the skills you get in college are insane. Like your problem solving is developed crazily. I know we do stuff like maths, applied maths, physics, biology, chemistry. You get a very broad kind of a range of skills at the end of this degree. And so yes, you can do anything. Also, every company wants engineers. Even if you go through the degree and decide you don't want to do engineering, You can go into business, you can do finance, accounting, you can go into science, go into pharmaceuticals. There's so many things you can do. Like once a company sees engineer on your CV, they'll be like, we'll take them, please. So yeah. So one thing I found when I came to college first, there's a huge kind of like team atmosphere in first year. Like I found everyone's so nice. Everyone's in the same boat as well. Like everyone, when they come to college, everyone's like, oh, we're first years, we're new. And I found everyone was really nice at helping everyone settle in. Like even in the first 2 weeks that we were in college, we had a WhatsApp group set up with like our entire year in there. And it's just great because like if you had any questions about any work that was going on, any assignments, something you didn't understand, throw it in there and someone would answer you pretty straight away. And yeah, one thing you find is you're not alone. Like if you're struggling with something, someone else probably is as well. And there's also someone else who knows exactly how to do what you're struggling with. So yeah, everyone works really well together, I found, in engineering, which is one of the reasons I love it. So I know you've been given a brief overview already, but yeah, so first year, you'll start with everyone doing a range of all the modules. So you'll get a taste for like chemical, biomedical, electrical, civil. And by the end of that first year, you're more than likely going to have an idea of what you'd like to do. I've highlighted the right option there now for second year. Yeah, no, so you'll know what you want to do when you go into second year, most likely. I actually didn't. I chose electrical when I went into second year at the start, and then after a few weeks was like, I do not like doing circuits. I mean, there are people that do love it, but yeah, I don't know what was going through my head. But everyone, the college was really helpful with getting me to move into mechanical. So I'd say that like as well, if you've chosen one and you're not quite sure, like they'll make it possible for you to change as well. So it's all like everyone wants to help you get through this course, basically. Year 3, you have the Erasmus option. This is one of the big sellers for the course, in my opinion. Erasmus and placement, as I'll talk about later. Like all my mates who went and did the Erasmus had the best time, and like the experiences they got were fantastic. And like being in Dublin for 5 years is, Dublin's great and big, but you want to get about and go to other places too. So it's great that we have that option if you'd like to. And then fourth year, as has been told, you choose your master's course and you're going to placement. So I'm doing my placement right now. I'm in a company called PM Group, and I've just started there last week. So I'll be there now until the end of August, so 8 months. And what's great about engineering placement is we get paid. So if you were to do not science, what do you call it, veterinary or medicine, all those sort of ones, they have to do, I think it's 1,000 unpaid hours, something like that. Whereas we come out of this like so I know what you're saying as well, we have to pay for that the 5th year, we have to pay for it, but like nearly all the jobs, I haven't heard of anyone who's not getting paid for those in 4th year. So like you've more than enough to pay for that excuse me, that 5th year. So yeah, and yeah, you'll get to choose your project. So you can, I know this is a long way away for all you, but like you'll either get given a list, well, you will get given a list of projects that you can choose from, or else by the time you get to that stage, you might have an idea of something you'd like to specialize in, or you'd like to do your own project. So you have that option as well, which is great. It's something I'm going to do, I'd say, pick my own one. But yeah, so one of my favorite modules that we've had was mechanical engineering design. The reason I liked this one was because it was very practical and it was group work. We have a fair few modules that do include group work. You've obviously got ones that are like solo as well, but as I said, like anything that's solo is usually a team effort anyway, because everyone's helping you. But yeah, we've got some great group work modules, and this was one of them. So this thing I'm showing on the screen is what we made over the course of a semester. It is a nanoparticle disperser. It's gonna fly, like I'm not gonna go into detail, but basically we're given we got to choose our group as well. So it was me and a few of my mates. We were given a project title to make something that would disperse nanoparticles effectively. And so like after weeks of like, coming up with ideas, concept generating, we were, you're taught how to work as a team kind of as well. And you're encouraged to like do certain meetings and like come up with things like Gantt charts and stuff you'll find out about later in life. But yeah, we eventually came together and made this prototype. We designed it in AutoCAD first, and a software called Fusion 360. Don't know if anyone's heard of it. But yeah, so we designed it in CAD and then made it in real life as well. So there's practical stuff in engineering, which is a great thing about this course as well. And I love that because yeah, we got to like see what we were working on, you know. And it was really interesting. We got an A for that, I think. But yeah, so as I was saying, the Erasmus, one of my mates went to Texas for the entire year, which was class, and he like has worn a Texas jacket every day since. He absolutely loved it. He had a fantastic time there. Two of the lads went down to Australia, they went to Canberra, and they had a fantastic time as well. They were there for 8 months. So among doing college, they went on road trips. They did the Great Ocean Road, and like they were swimming in beaches. I was calling one of them at the time, and he was like, "Yeah, there's this fantastic beach nearby, and sun is out. It's like 25 degrees, but I can't swim because there's saltwater crocodiles in it." Some problems to be having, but yeah, one of the lads went to Canada, Colorado, so he could ski the whole year while studying. So you've like these Erasmus options are class, and then you can go to China as well. It's depending on your course, what stream you pick, but most of them are able to go to most of these places. I think biomedical might have slightly less options than the others, but yeah, like if you get the chance, go for Erasmus basically. And then, as I was saying, fourth year, you get to do an internship. I'm doing mine with BM Group, as I said. So yeah, the careers counselors and like Nicola and Fanula, they're really helpful for getting you to put together a proper CV, a real working CV. I'm sure some of you may have a CV for hospitality and stuff, but like when you get to that point where you need like the real engineering job one, the facilities they offer you in the college are fantastic, and they'll really help you by giving you like internship prep and not interview prep, that's right. And so it's a nice smooth process, was for me anyway, and most of my mates. Like one of my friends was offered like 5 different internships. So like as it's been said, there's no shortage of jobs for engineers. Like we're very high in demand, and I can see it staying that way. We're great people. But yeah, and so apart from the internship that you do as part of college, you've got every summer free. So like summer's a lot longer in college than it was in school. Like you finish up at the end, like middle of May, and you have all of June, July, and August, and then you come back like midway through September. So what I did, the first 2 years, I was just working in like hotels and bars. But last summer, I went over to a company called Trelleborg in Bristol. My parents had a connection in the company, and so I was like, please get me in there. Just have some bit of engineering experience. So what I was doing was design engineering. So I was working a lot on SolidWorks. If anyone knows what SolidWorks is, yeah, software for designing stuff. And so that was a great one to have on my CV, so that I could get more internships, I guess. But yeah, so you'll get out of college what you put into it, and same with your summers. You know, like what you make of your time is, you know, gonna help you basically. So get out there and do as much as possible, I would say. So yeah, besides engineering, we've a lot more things to offer. There's societies and sports. Just another quick one for Swedes. How many societies do you think there are in UCD, not including sports? Nope, you're wrong. Lower. Yes, 50, 70. Oh, okay, closer. I'll give one more guess. 80. It was 96. But I'll give you all Swedes for answering. That was who was it? Someone else answered. Yeah, it was yeah, so there are apparently 96 societies in UCD, and that's not including sports. Like there are so many options. Like if you can think of a sport, there's most likely a team for it in UCD. And if there's not, there's usually enough interest that you could start one yourself and have a team yourself. So, and I did some of the things I was proud of. NSTOC. As an engineer, this is the biggest one and most important one for you. And they organize so much for first years. So when you come into first year, they'll have nights out and they'll have formals, balls. They also have coffee mornings twice a week, which become really useful when you're getting older. You need them to get through the week. But yeah, as I said, balls, that was me back in second year. But they do, yeah, a ball every year, and they have a formal every year as well. Great way to get out and go out, because engineers get the rep that we don't go out enough, and we definitely do. We have fun. So yeah, NSOC is a great one. There's women in STEM, yeah. So we've about 30% women, I'd say, in the course at the moment, and it's getting better. So yeah, women have the pick of the bunch when they come in. Another society I was part of was the snow sports. Main reason for being in that one was the ski trip, which is class. I went on that twice. Great way to meet people outside your course as well. These are just some of the societies I'm talking about. There's so many out there. I love this one now. It was really good fun. And yeah, just in terms of sports, I do five-a-side with college as well, and I do tag rugby, fairly normal ones. Like you can do anything. Like there's water polo, there's equestrian society, like there's, as I said, if you can think of a sport, it most likely has a society, and if not, you can start it yourself and it would get going. So yeah, I think that's most of what I have to say. I think I've kind of covered what I was going over. So I think there's going to be a Q&A session now in a minute. But thank you for listening.
Thanks. I don't have to go.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi. So my name is Molly and I just graduated in September. So I feel like I didn't really understand the assignment. I'm gonna sort of repeat what Harry was talking about. But I'll try and focus more of the graduate experience as well towards the end. So yeah, just a course overview and the perks of this university in particular. To start with the course, yeah, as you know already, I won't spend much time doing it, but generally is really good for learning and figuring out what you want to do. Even if you come in thinking you know what you want to do, it's still good to get a taster for the different subjects. And I disagree with Harry. I feel like structural is actually the top discipline that you can choose. The placement is really good as well. You get to apply everything you've learned and come back in, and you get a bit of a different perspective when you come back and finish the last year of your degree. Particularly, I feel like everyone would have an interest in the elective modules. If you do a language at school, or you play sports, music, or you have personal interests like even plants, there's botany classes that you can do as your elective. And they're really nice to break up the otherwise technical modules that you might have. The campus as well is absolutely brilliant. I know this evening, obviously we don't have a lot of light, you can't really walk around as much, but I definitely recommend it. Having been on a few other campuses, it has really amazing facilities. There's like 6 libraries, which you might not want to hear about because you don't ever want to be in the library as much as you think. But the pool is a great facility. It's an Olympic-sized pool, and I used to actually work in it, and you would be surprised the amount of students that would come in for a sauna and steam room in the middle of the day just to relax. So it's a great thing to have on campus. And yeah, so also the Erasmus here, but you know about that already. So just a quick question you might ask yourself, like, why would you want to do engineering? On one side, you might think of your own personal traits. An engineer is essentially a problem solver. You don't need to be a creative thinker, but definitely helps. And having a bit of spatial awareness. You need to be ready to work in groups, but also you'll have individual assignments. And yeah, I didn't do physics coming in. I'm not going to lie, I found it a little bit difficult because I hadn't done it before. But it's definitely nothing that you should consider putting you off the course. It's definitely doable without physics. I didn't even do applied maths either. I did like music and chemistry. So there's definitely an ability to do whatever you want. You don't have to do physics or applied maths. And then when you finish as well, like the degree can bring you anywhere you want to go. I think I was asked to do this as well because I'm one of the few that's actually left here in Ireland. A lot of my friends have gone to London, America, Canada, Europe. There's a lot of places that people have gone just straight away. Obviously you shouldn't choose a degree based on the salary you're going to earn, but it is a perk that you will have a generally above average salary as an engineer. You work with a lot of other professionals, and yeah, it's a great degree. Even if you do decide, you know, straight after college or even 20 years into your degree that you want to change, it's a great degree to have. A lot of employers look for problem solvers no matter what the problem is, and that's essentially what you get trained to be. And then as well, yeah, if you start the course and you realize that maybe you want to do a different type of masters like the business masters, or maybe you've had enough, you can exit at 3, 4, and 5 years depending on your degree. So it's good to know that you know, there's different opportunities for everyone. In particular for me, the Civil and Structural Society was one of the biggest societies that took up my social life, apart from the Engineering Society that Harry mentioned. So you might think that the trips abroad or the nights out were the biggest perk, but actually the coffee mornings and the pizza days were one of the best things, because as a student, you'll find that anything that involves caffeine or free food is definitely a very well attended event. We also played tag rugby against our lecturers in our last year, which was great fun. We got to get our elbows out and nobody messing. So yeah, so we had a great time. And yeah, there was also even career events held just specifically for civil and structural companies. It was more of an intimate environment than the huge career event that goes on in UCD for all courses. So this was a really good one to attend and talk to potential even employers there as well, and just kind of get a feel for that. My degree in particular, yeah, like I'm sure you've heard, is very focused on buildings and bridges. The reason I chose this is because I didn't want to do things like hydraulics, dams, transport. So I just chose everything that removed that. So that was this degree. And yeah, so there are a lot of mathsy I suppose assignments involved, but I found structural the one that I could kind of visualize the best. I found that electronic engineering, apart from not having done physics, I couldn't visualize particles flowing through a circuit, but I could visualize forces going through a building. You can see it literally in front of you. So that's another reason why I chose this, because I found it was far more logical to me than some of the other disciplines. And yeah, so just to remind you, there is a bit of a it's distinguished between structural and civil. There will be some modules that you will do that civil engineers don't do. So when you go to an interview, you can have those to show as well. And sorry, on the other side of that, then the civil engineers will do a few that you won't get to do. But again, if you know you don't want to do them, you're not missing out. Some of the more practical aspects of the degree, I know when I was trying to decide what university to go to, there were some universities that were all practical, some that were all theory, and I found that UCD offered a lot of balance between the two. So these are a few of the modules that involved a lot of hands-on work. You can see the building here, well, the little miniature building we did from a laser cut, and that was with architecture students as well. My friend Marcus is there with our presentation. So you learn a lot of presentation skills as well. There's 2 modules mentioned, creativity and design, or innovation leadership. So when you come into first year, you do your general year, you'll do creativity and design, probably one of the most fun modules you'll do. It doesn't really show you there's a lot of people in that room, but you do a lot of projects, you work with your team of about 7 or 8, and you do a lot of post-it notes, there's clay, you make little models, and it's really good fun. But then in civil and structural engineering, you actually get to teach that module when you get to 4th year. So we're on the other side of the classroom, and we're trying to organize 100 first years who are nervous and very loud as well. So that was actually a really good one. You get to develop a lot of interpersonal skills as well. And yeah, and then the biggest one, I suppose, which was the kind of culmination of all your years, was the design and build. So we went to a community in Dublin and we asked them what they wanted, and they said they wanted a stage. So you can see the caravan picture there. They wanted a stage in front of that to do performances with the local community, but they also wanted a seating area. So I was on the seating area team, which is, you can see we're building there in some of the photos. I'd never used a drill before. That was fun. Went up a ladder, that was also fun. Don't like heights, but anyways. So you learn a lot about practical things like connections that you might otherwise not really get to think about. That was alongside architects as well. So we built it and then we disassemble it and brought it to site and reassemble it. So that was really good fun as well. You don't need to read all of these. Any of the yellow ones are specifically structural and not civil. So some of them give you kind of context on what an architect does, just so that whenever you work alongside architects, you can understand their point of view, why they have all these lovely ideas that maybe for the realist engineers don't seem as nice. And then, yeah, your internship in year 4, and then you do your thesis. So in your final year of the master's, because your thesis is such a big part of it, you don't actually have as many modules because it's worth 4 modules. It is a lot of work. It does take up that amount of time, but you have less on your schedule. So it's actually a much well, I won't say it's a less busy year, but on your timetable, it's a lot less busy. So you can kind of control your own time and how you get on with your thesis and maybe any other things that you want to keep doing, like sports or other societies. I did my internship in London. So I was there from January to August, and yeah, I worked in a multidisciplinary company. So I was in the structural department, but there was a civil, a mechanical, electrical, facade, and I think there was a marketing part as well. And I did a drawings a lot of the time. It was based in the office, but there were site visits probably about once a week, which you can see in the photographs. And yeah, it was really, really great experience. Definitely a lot of hands-on work. Everyone was really welcoming and really helpful. Everyone had been in that boat before. And obviously there was a lot of fun as well. We played tag rugby, did some charity work, did even a dragon boat race as well. So it was a really good experience. I'd recommend going wherever you want, or going to whatever company you can get. We have a lot of connections, like UCD have a lot of connections with companies, but that doesn't stop you from going to other ones if you have your eye on them. Find a balance. You might think that this slide shows a really nice idea of what the course is, but you have to be prepared to work hard for this degree. It's not an easy degree, but for that reason, you need to kind of allow yourself to have some fun as well, or else I don't think, you have to commit to the degree. You have to be prepared along the way, probably in the later years, to have some sacrifices here and there, spending a lot of time in the library, but it is worth it in the end. There's a lot of events that are held by the Engineer Society, such as the Engineering Ball. I definitely recommend going to that if you can. And like I said, like for me, traveling was a big thing. So although I didn't do any summer internships, I definitely got to travel. I'd recommend, using your summer months. I'm now working and I have to count my annual leave days, which is really sad. So definitely use those summers for whatever you want, for internships, for traveling, for maybe working and saving a bit of money, or whatever it is that you want to do. I definitely recommend. And then in the end, you throw your caps up in front of UCD, hopefully on a nice day, and then you walk out. And it's actually quite sad when you leave. You'd be surprised. But yeah, so that was kind of my experience. I feel like I'd kind of summarized the course rather than my graduate experience. But if anybody has any questions about like after college and what you do, then you can ask me in the Q&A. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Molly. So, I'm sorry for storming onto the stage when you were coming on. So as promised, we're now just going to all stand up here and we're just going to open up the floor. Look, there's been some very different perspectives, so I'm sure there's a couple of questions that have built up. So really the floor is yours now, and we're going to just try to do our very best to answer any questions you have. So if anyone has anything they'd like to ask any of our panelists. Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's direct that, but for the sustainable systems engineering for that degree, how does that like differ from the other ones?
Sustainable systems.
It falls within the mechanical engineering stream. It's no different to the other ones in terms of it's just a discipline that you would choose as you go through the program, okay? But what it will have a focus on, well, I think we don't have anyone here from
What was it called? Sustainable systems.
It'll be run by our School of Biosystems and Food Engineering. And we have a professor, Joseph Sweeney, outside as well on our stand for biosystems and food engineering. So if anyone wants to chat to him more about that, then you're welcome. And it's relatively new. It's the new, the first time that the offer will be kept.
Very good.
I think it's two or three.
Mechanical engineering definitely the best way to specialize in like the aerospace area.
Yes,
Not that you couldn't go into it from the other ones though, you know.
yeah,
But
but
Yeah, I'd say,
it's the most natural one that you
Yeah.
go through your find most, yeah.
How many hours of lecture do you expect for first year and also how many hours of study should we expect to do it inside the next year?
A lot. So you have, usually you'd have 3 lectures per week per module, and you have 6 modules per semester. So, but in addition to that, you'll also have laboratories for some of those modules, and you will have tutorials. Our engineering students will have like 9 to 5 days, not every single day, but 9 to 5 days, Monday to Friday, normally maybe a half day during the week. You won't have labs every week because with 300, you might have 100 students doing it one week, 100, so you will occasionally have half days, etc. But it's heavy.
Yeah.
I think it's probably fair to say that as you go through the program, the content hours probably get a little bit less, or they change, that you mightn't have as many big lectures, you'll have more tutorials and labs. Our first year is probably the toughest year in terms of actual, you know, what you have to get through. Maybe not the toughest academically, but the toughest, you know, so don't think it's worth sugarcoating. It is if you come in, you sit there and you see friends in other programs and you're going, why am I here all the time? And they're not. So, but it's worth it at the end, definitely. And in terms of study, because there's so many content hours, you probably have a little bit more direction from us than you would have in other programs. So that they're still important to study, and it's still important to, for example, you'll have labs and you'll have reports. There's quite a bit of continuous assessment in different modules as well. So you'll always have things that you're having to prepare and hand in. So again, it's hard to say, yeah, you have X amount of study, but it is a tough course, right? So that's fair enough to say.
I'll just add to
You want
that,
to say,
yeah, I'd say it is very 9 to 5 in first year. But for that reason, I know I didn't do a whole lot of studying in first year because you're doing so much during the whole day. But like as you go on, like I'm in 4th year now, and we wouldn't, for that first semester, we wouldn't have had as many at all. Like with 2 or 3 like hours in a day. No, 3 or 4, we'll say. But then you spend like the remainder of that time in the library. Like it is, I don't know, like it is, yeah. Depends how well you want to do, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
it depends.
yeah, it does depend.
Yeah. But definitely, I would say, remember if you were doing the, if you're doing first year, do remember that your Erasmus does kind of depend on your GPA. I wasn't aware of that, so I didn't really do that much work and then I couldn't go. But I definitely remember that, because if you would like to travel, just keep an eye on, especially continuous assessment, which I'm sure you're all aware of it now, the way the leaving certs change and stuff, but like just any small marks you get anywhere, just kind of build that up through the year, and then, yeah, the bulk of the work is done like before exams,
Yeah.
2 weeks before exams, yeah.
What is like GPA requirement for the year?
It depends on where you want to go. Because I know the lads for China, like they only needed like 3.1 or something. And because like there was no demand for it. Whereas if you want to go somewhere like Texas, you needed like 3.8 to get there.
Some of them were 3.9.
Yeah.
You know, they're
So
really,
really-
really high. And so 3.65 is, you know, traditional first class honors. So at 3.9, you're up in the 80, 90%.
Agreements with our universities there in the world, and some of those partnership agreements would have a specific number of people that we would allow us to go to these various institutions. So they are competitive, so some of the popular like the Stanford or PC Berkeley, so they US one for some can be very popular, so it is just getting competitive based on your GPA. I think that.
But as long as you're above probably at 3.1, I can't say specifically, but like as long as you're doing well, like you might not get to the place you want to go, but you get somewhere.
You're flexible where you could go.
Yeah.
No, that's
GPA, but there's also, you can't get below a D
Yeah,
in a particular, so you could have the right GPA, but if you failed a module, you won't be allowed to go. You could have the right GPA, and if you get a D in a module, you won't be allowed to go.
You are allowed to go, but it's just a lot harder to.
We have to make exemptions for it. Technically, you're not meant to go, but sometimes exemptions are made, okay? So we have a rule, and then we will make exemptions around, and it is in your own interest, because settling into a university abroad, that can be challenging, and if academically you're struggling, it's really challenging, you know. And then obviously, if you're going to ones, like we have partners in Switzerland and France, you know, it would be a good idea to speak French if you're planning to go to French universities as well.
Okay.
I don't know
many,
many,
but
but
it's not
there's
stuff I have-
definitely a lot of openings. Yeah, you'd be in competition with a lot of UK colleges as well, but if you really want to do it, you can definitely get into it.
Like
There's been a couple of people who require other companies, like, Bangalore, Jaguars, and Ferrari, and it's in Italy, you know, and so many refer, it was in, of course, India at the time, but after racing now, at the moment. And so there has been a couple of people who, I'm sure there's more than we know, but,
And there's actually a society called Formula Students, and it's mostly mechanical and electrical engineers of all years, and they build a Formula One car on the college campus. I'm not sure the details of it.
They haven't started out in the foyer, but no one got chance to talk to them, the UCD Formula Student team are on stand outside.
And they race that car then in July, usually, it's a racetrack.
Gosh, just a couple of minutes left, yeah?
So alumni, there are graduates, they're the people who are out working, and we keep very close contact with our alumni afterwards through something called the Engineering Graduates Association, so that they can come back in and give talks and seminars to our students here. And across all of our disciplines, we have alumni who are very, you know, prestigious and kind of leaders in their areas. Yeah, so did you want to know specific alumni? Yeah, there are graduates who are out there working, yeah.
A great alumni mentoring program as well,
Yeah.
so some of our alumni
Yeah.
come back and they mentor our second and third year students.
So we pair them up with people. That's right.
Do you ever going on Erasmus or something like that? There generally be like accommodation agreements stuff beforehand, or you kind of just like chip off?
There's usually accommodation on campus in those US universities in particular, and actually for some of them, because I've been looking at them recently, you actually have to sign up and say you will live on the university accommodation. So yeah, there are, you will get accommodation if you're going to those universities.
It's kind of people time, so we'll probably do another 5 minutes or so before, no, so yeah, we'll just see.
Electrical, yeah.
So, yeah. I'm in research. Yeah, so a lot of people actually just don't want to go into research. That's probably why. But you can go into research. People actually want researchers a lot. You can go back to UCD and do a PhD. You usually hear about that in your masters. Your supervisor might contact you to tell you about a bursary. Or you can go into research companies. Or work here as a research assistant, I think, as well. So.
More or less the exact same.
Yeah, I think it's the
no
same,
difference
yeah.
in terms of, yeah.
And one of my mates is doing research and development for his internship up in Galway at Medtronic.
How many electives can they do working on this?
One per semester.
I think in first and second, between first and second year, first to third year, you'll have like 4 or 5. And some actually you get as well, those are electives, but then you have is it your core, not your core electives, your options. So you'll have a little bit of choice within your actual technical ones as well. I think there's a list online on the UCD website. Sorry.
Apologies, would you mind repeating that, sorry?
No. No, there's not a lot of careers in nuclear engineering, unfortunately, in Ireland, so we don't offer nuclear engineering.
I think you can, I think you can do nuclear physics. I don't know if,
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if
don't think
UCD,
they'd offer
but-
nuclear engineering. though.
No,
Yeah.
no, but
Yeah.
I think if you're interested in nuclear, you'd probably be like
Nuclear
physics and then eventually you'd specialize in nuclear physics, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Or, yeah.
There's a module of energy engineering where part of it was about nuclear energy.
Just see if we have any other questions. Okay, well, look, unless there's anyone else has anything else, I'm just going to take a moment here just to thank our panelists. I think they did a great job giving a good depiction of everything. So giving them So we're finished up in here. We're all going back out to the stands outside. So if you want to ask any of us or anyone else stands any more questions, we'd love to see you out there. So thank you very much again.